Volatile news is coming in. We could be in for a big 24 hours in terms of gold, silver, copper action, and also oil prices, because just moments ago, Trump has actually launched some attacks against Iran that we will break down, because this could potentially spiral and escalate the tensions in the Middle East, and that could actually impact the oil price, which then could impact the financial markets as well. So we've got some big announcements to get through in today's video, some big news that is literally broken moments ago. And we'll talk about the gold silver price. And I also want to share with you as well, particularly if you're watching from the USA, I've seen the big news happen about this Starlink IPO. SpaceX IPO. So we'll discuss that at the end of the video if you're into stocks and that big news as well, how people can get in on that. Big news around that too. So if you like Elon Musk and you like, interesting things happening in the stock market, stick around to the end of the video. We'll break that down as well. And let's get straight into the video. So have a look right here. Last couple of days, look, there has been a big drop off in oil prices. That is true because Trump has been talking about a 60-day, ceasefire with Iran, but we've just had breaking intel about something that might put a spanner in the works that we'll talk about. But the price of crude right here dropped down to $89. It's starting to push back up though, right? Brent's trading at about $95 currently, off about $108 right here, so falling quite a lot from $100 in the last 48 hours, based off some of those rumors about some type of proposed deal. And but just recently, which has just come out, there is a plan. There's actually not a plan. These are explosions taking place. So there are explosions taking place in Bandar Abbas. Iran's agency has said the situation is normal, and the sound heard were from the east of the city. More to come. And this has actually come off the back end of Trump launching strikes against Iran in the Strait of Hormuz. And even though, look, there is spin here to say this was not offensive, to be honest, it does look pretty offensive to me. They say they struck 2 IRGC boats laying mines, and then they also went after a SAM missile site that targeted its warplane. So they are trying to spin it as a defensive action, but, could this be a provocation to some degree? Against Iran? Look, that could also be a case. And apparently the Iranian boats were caught laying mines in the Strait of Hormuz. Things like this, though, do have the potential to, spiral the situation and break down any type of peace treaty. So right here, you can see several IRGC Navy personnel killed in US strikes on Iranian boats in the Gulf. So not the best news to start today, which is Tuesday. But this is just something we have in the background. And also in the background, there are plans here for potentially Trump to really back Israel's targeting of Lebanon as well. So we are seeing more of the same, even though there is talks, and we have seen knee-jerk reactions from the financial markets about, things such as peace deals and treaties. The actions on the ground don't seem to be congruent with those types of whatever tweets are coming out over on X. So I would classify this situation as highly volatile. And we are seeing a trend at the moment that, this was supposed to be a walk in the park. Toppling the Iranian regime was supposed to be easy. Trump thought it was going to be over quickly. And at the moment, it seems like a stalemate has unfolded. So the Americans, it's hard for America to really knock off the Iranian regime. It seems to be, quite staunch in its defense. And it's just more of the same unfolding, and it's more of a stalemate. So we haven't really seen a clear breakout either way, even though we did get that good reaction out of the oil price recently with the 60-day rumor. So that is the breaking intel, and we don't know exactly how the Iranians are going to react to this. So obviously their troops have been killed by the Americans just recently, and they're pretty quiet on Twitter, so they haven't put out much here. So you can see Saeed, he hasn't really said much. MB Ghalibaf has also not said much at all as well. Usually they're pretty quick to Twitter. And today is the 26th of May, and you can see the last tweet right here, May 20th. So that's something they were doing before. They were tweeting out quite often what their plan was and what they were thinking. But at the moment, they've went quiet. So it's almost a little bit too quiet, if you know what I mean. So we might get some reactions out of the Iranians maybe within 24, 48 hours, see how they respond to what Trump has been doing right there in the Middle East. Now, if we break it over to the silver price and the gold price, you can see right here, it's almost like an inverse reaction to some degree of how this is playing out. So anytime the oil price drops, silver has done quite well. So it's kind of, rallied a bit. But just recently you can see it kind of drop off just slightly with some of this news, but no huge, massive capitulation or anything like that. So trading at about $76. You can see right here a lot of, decent support around the $75 level. And there's a ton of support for silver at around, 73 as well. So tons of support technically on the price chart for silver as we navigate this volatility. And we really need to just get out of this situation. So this situation in the Middle East does need to get, resolved. And I do think, if there is a proper, peaceful, long-term resolution to this, that's where silver and gold can really start to rally. And if we have a look at gold, and we'll talk about gold right now, gold has been looking quite similar to silver. So again, trading about 4,500, reacting with volatility to the news that is coming out of the Middle East. And you can just understand just how much of the reaction of prices of gold and silver is happening in regards to the Middle East news. So a lot of it is just coming out knee-jerk reactions to what Trump is saying. These peace deals are getting talked about, and then also when we actually have breakouts of actual missiles and things, the gold and silver price does react accordingly. If you take a look at the copper price, copper has been looking very strong. Like it's a very, very strong asset. Its performance has been quite well. All the AI research I've been doing on copper, every time I talk to AI, in Google Gemini about metals with supply crunches and industry demand, copper seems to come out very, very high. It's the number one that always comes out on top. So just factor this in for your own research. The other thing that comes out very much in high demand is rare earths as well. And then it's followed by silver and other types of metals like that. But copper is just something to watch out for with a looming supply crunch that will most likely happen in the next, decade or so. If there isn't much new copper found, and the difficulty in mining copper tends to increase over time. So copper is one of these assets that has got some pretty fundamentally strong supply demand factors, lack of substitution factors going for it. So even though copper is, if you have a look right here, it's looking at all-time highs effectively. If you just think about the supply issue that's going to happen in the future with copper, this thing could really go quite high, and it's also going to be a metal it's needed in war. So the other thing to factor in as well is at the moment, obviously, there's a battle over the Middle East, the reshaping of the Middle East that we can see happen every day. But eventually, there will most likely be a battle between China and the USA about who leads the globe properly in the future. And a lot of that, if you think it through, the AI, data centers, artificial intelligence, and also just electrification of society. And the military, copper is pretty hard to substitute away from. So it is still needed very much in the global economy, and also with militarization in the US as well. So that is something to just consider and have on the radar long term as well. Fundamentally, gold, silver looking strong, trading sideways, dealing with some volatility. Copper looking historically very strong, and in the future looking very strong as well. And if we jump over to this, so I saw this post. So if you guys like some excitement, let's break down the news about this. So comment down below if anyone is actually going in for this. If you are, let me know in the comment section below. But this is obviously some big money traders. If you got some big money, you can go in for this. So this is coming out from Sawyer. So how people are getting in on SpaceX's IPO. So if you guys don't know SpaceX, obviously one of the biggest companies about to go public in the world. Absolutely huge, and it's going to get actually launched into the multiple trillion. It's going to go $1 trillion plus, I think, at IPO. But anyway, if people want to go in for this, there are different ways people can go in. So Fidelity, $500,000 minimum account balance required to participate. Okay, so you have to fill out an indication of interest as well. Charles Schwab is a bit different right here. So we're just going to do a high level review of this. You need $100,000 to go in for this minimum account balance required to participate. And then you also have Robinhood right here. There's no minimum account size requirement, but you must have enough buying power to cover your requested shares. If you are allocated any, you need an individual brokerage account right here as well. And then you also have an E-Trade option too. And there's also SoFi too as well to have on the radar. So they're the brokers. And just to give you some oversight of why people are interested in this from a fundamental perspective. So this is getting launched at a market cap of $1.75 to $2 trillion. It's absolutely insanely big. And the key value drivers behind this are going to be Starlink. So the cash cow, SpaceX's satellite internet service, is the company's strongest pillar. In 2025, it generated $11.4 billion, roughly 61% of the total of revenue of 18.7 billion, and it has been growing previously. It's also got the XAI integration. So Elon Musk merged his AI firm XAI into SpaceX. This repositioned SpaceX as a major player in the AI data processing, autonomous systems, and orbital infrastructure, driving significant hype and boosting the company's valuation pre-IPO. And you've also got launch and defense dominance as well. So SpaceX holds a monopoly on commercial launch services with Falcon 9 rocket. And it's got some big government and defense contracts and also Starship's potential. So while still in development, the fully reusable Starship represents the future of space infrastructure, promising to drastically lower the cost of putting mass into orbit. So interesting. It's obviously coming in at a massive valuation, 1.75 trillion, absolutely huge. But obviously it's also got some pretty big barriers to entry. So it's not like many companies can come up with satellites and rockets and things like that. And comment down below if you are actually going to invest into this. So I guess, so this will probably generate a ton of hype and interest since Elon Musk is involved. And obviously SpaceX is absolutely huge. And watch out for that as well. So again, not financial advice, not a recommendation to invest or anything like that. As always, do your own research, not financial advice right here on the channel. But that is some important news to have on the radar to keep you fully in the alpha of the markets right now. And guys, that's your major update for today. Really appreciate you tuning in. Go have a great start to the week. I'll see you in the next one.